Well, yeah, I've tried to take ads out in magazines and newspapers and things, and they shut you down. They say, "Oh, I can't put this in there. We don't want to have anything to do with that." And I've tried to put it in these newspapers where the other people do the same sort of thing, but it's just that, like, I'm singled out as being, oh no, we can't let that person put his book into our newspaper. And I'm going, wow, this is advertising that, and I haven't been able to really do any advertising at all. But what happens is this, no, the shop that I'm in, though, is it has people coming through it that are not so many close by, but people from distances. They come in because they hear about it. They come in, and they come from out of town, even in other countries sometimes, and they just sort of flow through. And there's incidences where they come up to the counter, they buy a book and a few CDs or DVDs, I mean, and articles that they just get for free, and they pick them up and then they take them elsewhere. I don't know what's happening to those things, but sometimes I'll get into conversation with people. But you see, they can't shut me down. I don't work for some man who wants me to shut my mouth, except for Yahusha. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he wants me to just shut up, and I do. But when the person asks a question, I answer that question specifically, and then I wait for another question, and sometimes it becomes a long thing. When the person asks a question, I answer that question. When the person asks a question, I answer that question. When the person asks a question, I answer that question. When the person asks a question, I answer that question specifically, and then I wait for another question, and sometimes it becomes a long thing, and the people actually get so excited, like you experience. It just goes on and on and on, and I don't force them. I let them draw it out, and the truth doesn't need defense or even justification or footnotes. I mean, the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. You know. Yeah, well, I mean, what good is a footnote that references itself to another book written by a man? Well, you give them the scripture, you know. That's the thing. The word of Yahuwah is living and active. And that's where the power is. It's in the scriptures, you know. But, oh, yes. Outsiders, yes, that have never been able to even approach the subject are going, wow, I knew something was missing, and I couldn't get it from that steeple or any of those people that are in the Nicolaitan club. You know, they they ordain one another. Like, I'm ordaining you. Well, it's just a dude. You know, or dudes don't ordain other dudes. Dudes don't ordain other dudes. Dudes don't ordain other dudes. You know, that's not. The orders and the ordination comes from Yahusha, or it doesn't get there. Oh, you know. You can make stuff up and get dressed up in little things and say, well, I've got this outward sign of our authority. Well, it's not anything at all except a construction. It's an artificial thing. You know, it's just a shell. The reality is in the man's heart or the woman's heart. It's the living speech of Messiah, because he speaks, or if he's not there, he can't speak. You know, but the love is the sign. If you and that's the thing. See, when people are real, when I talk to people at the shop, they're just drinking up, like you say, they're hungry like a sponge. They just soak it up. This one woman, I don't know if I mentioned this or not to you in one, but she asked me about this shirt because I'm wearing evidence on me, and sometimes they say, "What's that blue thing. And I go, well, that's to remind me of something. Oh, well, that sounds practical, you know. And I tell them if they want to know. I don't even push that. I say, well, what is it reminding you of? That looks like it's pretty serious. And so, yeah. So anyway, and this one woman was a very astute, educated woman. She said, well, you know, those kind of people are already interested in knowledge and they want to go. She said, what is the symbol on your shirt? And I said, oh, this is a wonderful thing. And I explained it to her, and I said, it's actually read in the opposite direction from what we're used to. And I told her there's two letters that are repeated so she could see that. So the symbol started to make sense to her a little bit. And then I said, this is the equivalent of our letter Y, you know, and this is an H or a hey, and this is a U, you know, oo, and this is another H, and it's pronounced Yahuwah. And she was going, well, and then I told her where it came from, you know, the Sinai and the scriptures, you know, the original scriptures. You know. It's just so exciting because you never know what item people are going to be drawn to see and wonder about. And because it is a wondrous thing, you know, to see the origin of something without all the filters, you know. And I got to talk to her about the mutilation through the Greek and the Latin, and we talked a little bit about the covenant being given at Sinai and how he would have inscribed his name like this. But you know, when Yahuwah was bringing him out of Mitzrayim or Egypt, he had to get Egypt out of them, you know. What?